Okay, welcome everybody to another session of the Embodiment Conference. My name looks like it's Mark Walsh, but it's actually Kelly Bannister. And I'm going to be your host, your technical host, and introduce our speaker today. And I'm delighted to be able to introduce Kierra Foster Ba. She is a body wisdom coach, a crystal healer, and a Reiki master. And Kierra has studied Five Rhythms with the founder of Five Rhythms, Gabriel Roth, for over 15 years. And she's offered workshops nationally and internationally in many places all over the world, ranging from Amman, London, all through the States, and Sao Paulo. And she has her own website, Shaking Spirit Waves, which I posted into the chat window, and also a YouTube channel, which you can check out afterwards if you like. And today, Kierra is going to bring us a presentation, movement experience that she's titled, Can Shaking Your Booty Lead to Salvation? So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Kierra.
Okay. So I am going to tailor my remarks as though you're brand new to the Five Rhythms. So I want to say that because I know some of you may be quite familiar with the Five Rhythms, but because this is being broadcast all over the world, and I think there's something like 12,000 people signed up, that's going to influence what I'm saying. So the Five Rhythms is really two things. It is a movement practice, but it's also a philosophy. It informs Five Rhythms dancers, practitioners of the Five Rhythms, and how they think about life, how they think about our species as a whole, and how they think about purpose. So the philosophy can be boiled down to two main tenets. It's many, many things, and Gabrielle wrote 3 bestsellers, if you want to actually follow up and read more about it. But the two main tenets, one is connection. At workshops, Gabrielle would often say, there's only one of us here. And sometimes she would just let that linger for a while. Now, she's a Buddhist, so she meant that quite literally. She really did mean that we are all the many, 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 many manifestations of the one being. But if that seems too hippy-dippy or new agey for you, think about this. This air that is in your lungs right now, right this minute, was in someone else. If you happen to have somebody who's around you, was actually in the body, the physical body of somebody else. And even if you're living alone, like right now I'm alone in my apartment, still, at some point in my day, I was exchanging air, breath with someone. And so just on that level, we are intimately connected with one another. The other main tenet of the Five Rhythms is the idea that every single person, without any exception, is a dancer. We are all dancers. So that can be really radical depending on who you are. This notion that every single person, wait a minute, every single person? Yes, every single person is a dancer. That doesn't mean that there won't be some of us who will develop dance into a really, really high art because of the way that we've honed our bodies and the way that we've mastered our bodies. But what it does mean is that dance is written into our DNA. It is how we as a species process things. Every single person that is on this planet right now comes from people who moved in just this way, who dance for connection, who dance for healing, for transformation, who dance to ready themselves, to get physically ready for a celebration, for going on a hunt, for going into conflict. And so So for some of us, it's more recent on our ancestral line, and for others, you have to go back a little bit in order to find that. But every single human being living comes from that. That is who we are. And if you think about it, even here, if you think about the Shakers, for example, the Shakers were a sect of Quakers, and they believed that just shaking the body, could actually, was the deepest form of prayer and was a way of achieving a certain kind of salvation. So shaking, even in recent times, here in the West, was really important. And so those are the two main tenets of this work, that we are all connected and that each one of us is a dancer, and that dance is very important to us as a species. So those are the main tenets of the philosophy. Now, it's also a practice, and it's a practice for the moment of that you're expressing whatever it is that you need to express as you become more embodied, but it's also a practice for life, and I'll just say a little bit more about that. I'm going to be working with my camera. I got an external webcam so that you could see my body as I'm moving. In the 5 rhythms, there are 5 different gateways. So bear with me. Was experimenting with this a little bit earlier, and I hope I can get this to work. Okay. So I think you can see my feet. So in flowing, it's really the idea of your feet on the floor. You're creating movements that flow, one movement right into the other, with your feet on the floor. Gabrielle often talked about caressing the skin of the Great Mother. So that's the first rhythm, connected round movements. And just practicing, how do I flow through life? When there are obstacles in my way, do I flow around them, under them, over them? How do I flow through life? Or do I get trapped when things don't go my way? Do I get stopped? The second rhythm, staccato, the gateway is the hips, and it's the idea of being very clear, very specific. So letting your hips feel the pulse of the music and being very specific when there's a clear beginning, a clear end. And again, you're practicing. My nose. When I say no, is it really a no, or is it a maybe? Can I be really definite? Can I allow myself to really be seen, really be present? And so that's what we're practicing when we're in staccato. Chaos, and I'm going to move again, and I hope that, okay, I might have to bend down a little bit. But chaos, the gateway for chaos is the head. And you're just letting the head really go in a way that we normally don't, right? Because we really don't want people to think that we're crazy. We want people to think we have it together. So we're just keeping our head really still. So in chaos, you're flailing. You don't care what you look like. You know you look crazy, and you don't care. So it's an opportunity to dance like maybe you belong in an insane asylum. It's really just letting it all go. And lyrical, the fourth rhythm, is the gateway, the arms, the hands. In many, many, many cultures, they're the messengers of the heart. And when we get to lyrical, we're letting go of letting go, right? And we're just dancing. And sort of the full embodiment of who we are. We're kind of getting lost in our own essence. And that brings us to the fifth and final rhythm, which is the rhythm of stillness. And it's just finding that still point through your dance. And so it could mean moving very slowly. It could be that you've got tremendous energy and we get to stillness and you still want to move, and then you pause and you're moving fast again, and then you're pausing. So it will look different depending on who you are. There is no right way or wrong way to do it, but there is some specificity in the sense that we are following a map. And the five rhythms really does have a map, and we're doing our best to follow it in ways that make sense to us in our particular bodies in that particular moment. So with that, I am going to invite you to join me. So the other thing, this is really like, I feel like I'm so disembodied. Okay, that's a little better. The other thing is that the music that I'm going to play, in order to play music, we really need to be respectful of the artist that created this music. And so I'm using music that people gave me permission to use. I'm not just using any music and broadcasting it and not honoring and respecting the authors. So I'll talk a little bit about at the end, just to give credit to everybody who graciously allowed me to use their music. So we're going to get started with body parts. So just really feeling into your head and neck. Feeling the weight of your neck. Moving in ways that feel good to you. And now your shoulders. Really feeling into your shoulders. Seeing if you can notice any difference. Now your elbows. Your wrists. Checking in now with your torso. Feeling the length of your spine. And the base of your skull, down to your tailbone. And now your hips. Don't forget about your knees. Your feet. Starting to find your flow, those round circular movements. round, circular, fluid. One movement flowing right into the next. In a moment, you'll have an opportunity to see what happens when you flow just a little faster. Staying with your flow. Feeling that percussion, but staying fluid. Moving into the second rhythm, really feeling that pulse in your hips. I'm going to try to lower this so you can see my hips a little more. So. Staying with your staccato dance, even through the pause. Clear. Specific. Getting ready for the third rhythm. Remembering to let go of the head. Release, letting it all go. Letting go of what no longer serves you. Letting it go. Woo! Let it go. Looking good. Letting it go. Staying with it. Letting it go. Okay. Woo! Let it go. That's right. Whatever little bit is left, let it go. Don't care what you look like. Shake it out. Letting go of letting go. Fourth rhythm of lyrical. Lightening up even further. Staying with your lyrical dance. Just letting go of even more effort. rhythm. The rhythm of stillness. And just taking a moment to create one final shape, a shape that honors your journey, your dance. And so when you find that shape of honor, breathe into it. In, hold it, and let it go. And if you did, in fact, get some water to be by your side, you might want to get it now. It's going to dry off a little bit so I can be just that much more presentable. Okay, I'll just work with this a little bit. Okay, I think all my face is in. Okay, so this was the part that I wanted to leave in case you had something that you wanted to share or you had a question. I think there's a way for you to raise your hand and then ask a question. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, Kierra. And we also have some questions that are in the chat box. I could read them to you if you'd like.
Oh, all right. Let me just get
my
handy glasses.
Okay.
And then
yeah. There's
okay.
one from Yasha that says, why do I then find it so difficult to dance? This was asked early when you were talking about
because of, incredible conditioning. We've all been conditioned about, what our dance should look like, that we need to be on the beat. I mean, let's face it, as we have egos and we like to get things right. So if we believe that dance needs to look a certain way in order for it to be appreciated or valued, then we're putting a lot of restrictions on ourselves. But if we recognize that actually your dance really doesn't need to look any particular way, and that actually in this work, we're really not doing, right? We're not making it happen. We're not getting that pirouette or that plie. Actually, we're uncovering, we're discovering, and we're letting our dance find us. So there's a way that your wrist needs to move in this moment, but that you might not normally even pay attention to. So one story that I often share is how I came to the Five Rhythms. The Five Rhythms was offered at a gym that I used to go to. And there was this period of my life where, I lost 90 pounds. Clearly, I didn't keep it off, but I had lost this 90 pounds and I was going to the gym. And I discovered this thing called the Five Rhythms, and I thought, wow, this is really fun. Like, I'm a very literal thinker. So the teacher said, be a circle. I was like, oh, I'm a circle. The teacher said, shake it and let it go in chaos. I was like, oh, I'm a washing machine. I'm letting it go. Like, I went to this very little girl place with it, and I was just having fun. Well, one day, I'm in class doing my thing. I'm the circle. I don't shake, washing machine. I'm just doing all this stuff. And we're in chaos, and I really don't know. I mean, even at the time, I couldn't actually tell you what happened. All I know is that something about the shapes that I was making in chaos led me to this place where I was raging and crying. But my teacher said, Kierra, keep moving, keep dancing. And I did. So I was shaking it out. I was looking crazy. It was just going every place. And you know what? I cracked open. All that sorrow, all that anger was ready to be released. I didn't need to carry it anymore. And it actually came out in my dance. So it cracked me open. And I was hooked on the 5 rhythms ever since. I realized that it could be a really powerful catalyst for change. And it was for me. I cannot tell you how much of myself I got back just from something very simple, and that's dancing. And that's something that we all have and we can do. You know, it might be that, you know, there could be parts of your body that don't work or don't work the way that they used to, but you work with what is moving. You know, I've been doing the 5 rhythms for over 20 years. It was probably like 1997 that I walked into my first 5 rhythms class. I don't dance the way that I used to. You know, when I was in my 30s, I was like a powerhouse. I was moving, I was grooving, I was leaping. Now I'm in my 50s, I'm close to 60. I don't move the way that I used to, but I'm still moving and I'm still finding incredible power in movement. And there is power in your movement, and it doesn't need to look a certain way. It is your movement. So one other story that I will tell, and this is how I know that the body has its wisdom in ways that we don't usually think about the body having wisdom. So in my other life, I'm an assistant principal. And one administrators, we usually, it might be different depending on what state or what part of the world that you're in, but probably it's the same everywhere in the world. Administrators, we actually go to school a few days a week, sometimes 2 weeks, depending on where you are, before school actually opens. We're in there getting everything together. So this was going to be the first day of school for administrators. And guess what? My school was in the paper. I'm just about to leave and somebody calls me, another administrator, and he's like, Kierra, have you seen the paper? And let me tell you something. It was juicy. It was beyond juicy. It was like, you know, there was even espionage. Like, what school has espionage going on? It had espionage, and of course the usual people having sex or with people they're not supposed to have sex with. So it was juicy. But one, I really do believe that gossip is a sin. I really do believe that you destroy people by, gossiping about things you don't even know are they're true. But even when you know that they're true, you're really reducing a person to that one thing, to that one act. And so I don't really believe in gossiping. That doesn't mean that I don't sometimes fall prey to it, but I really don't believe in it. So I made the decision that I was not going to gossip, because when you gossip, you take away that 30 years that person was an educator, and that's all that they're remembered for. So I wasn't going to gossip, and I really was not going to gossip. And I got to school, and the first hour, all I said was, that's unfortunate. And the second hour, and maybe even the third hour, I said, that's unfortunate. But then it came where I just, one thing. I just want to say one thing. The next thing you know, I was gossiping like the best of them. But I had said that I wasn't going to gossip. And what I didn't realize until then is that when you make a decision, it's not just your brain, but everything, my spleen, my hips, everything was like, Kierra said she doesn't want to gossip. We're going to help her. She's not going to gossip today. So when I did gossip, my whole body really was like, what's going on here? Was really in. I found myself, my stomach was in knots. I was sweating. Why? Because I made a commitment to myself. And how I discovered that was that night, wouldn't you know it, I had to teach a 5 rhythms class. I'm literally doubled over in pain. And I'm like, how am I even, well, maybe one person is going to show up. Maybe I'll wait here for 15 minutes. Nobody's going to show up, and then I'll go home. But you know how fate is. It's crowded. The theme that night was to dance from the inside out. So the direction that I gave people was to, if your liver could create movement, what would it want to express? And so in modeling that, I got that when I said I wasn't going to gossip, every part of me lined up. And when I didn't do what I said, everything was confused. And so I was causing my own disease. So the body has an incredible wisdom, and the body is an incredible ally. And I really, really, in my heart of hearts, believe that it is important to celebrate your body that you have right now, even if there are things that you're on the road to changing. Right now, that knee is beautiful. Right now, that shoulder is beautiful. So really being appreciative of your body. That doesn't mean that you can't be in the process of changing things, but this is who you are right now, and it's obviously spectacular. There's no, it's just unfortunately that we don't know that. So we believe other people. They tell us we have big ears, they are this, or, you're not even on the beat, you look foolish. What do you call that? And we listen instead of going, wow, this is a new way of doing it. It's fun, try it. So I think that that's what we need to take in, that there's no one way, there's no right way, there's just your way of moving in a way that feels good to you in the moment. And your dance was constantly changing. So there you have it. That's the first question.
Oh, that's beautiful. And Yash who asked the question, is expressing gratitude for your response. So thank you very much. I'm sure everybody really appreciated that beautiful answer. Kierra, we're actually out of the teaching time now. So it's been fabulous. And I have a couple of announcements to make.
Oh, wait, before you make that announcement, I think I was supposed to share really super quickly.
I'm going to come back to you. Hold on to it.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to come back because you're going to get the last word here. Yeah. So I just need to do my little duty here and let you know, I'm posting in the chat if you want to access any of the recordings, including this one from the conference. I've just posted the link and you can get it off the website. And the recordings are going to be available for 1 week following the end of the conference, and the conference ends tomorrow. It has been a spectacular event, almost 2 full weeks. We're running 24 hours a day now. So lots of volunteers behind the scenes and lots of wonderful teachers and instructors sharing their wisdom with us. If you would like to purchase the conference recordings, I believe they're on sale for half price until the end of the conference, I guess till the end of tomorrow, till the conference ends, and that a half price price is 99 euros, and then it doubles after the conference. If you purchase them, you'll have them for life. You can download them. And I just need to also mention our partner charity, Queer Facilitator Course for LGBTQ plus Russia. And if anybody wants to make a donation to that, there's a link there to bring this kind of instruction embodiment teaching to people who are in need and can't really afford it and could really use it. So that's a request from our partner organization. There is a number of really interesting things happening as continuance, offerings to continue to meet as communities. There is something just posted today, I think it's being called embodiment labs or embodiment circles. And so people are being encouraged to check that out on the Facebook page and on the website. There are get-togethers for connection learning and mutual business benefits. If you'd like to do referrals or exchanges and have a bit of reciprocity results. There's also online courses that are being offered and a whole repertoire of things. So I guess at the end of the conference, it just launches a new beginning for all sorts of new possibilities. So make sure you stay in touch and in tune with that. So now I'm going to turn it back over to you, Kierra, for your top embodiment tip. And before I do, just a reminder that I will stay on for another 15 minutes after we conclude for an informal coffee break. And I think Kierra might be staying with us. Are you going to join us?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got another 15 minutes with her after we wrap up, but I'll turn it over to you, Kierra.
Okay, so very quickly, I want to really thank the artists. You heard music from Nancy Pratt. You also heard music from Gabrielle Roth, the founder of this body of work. She has a record company, Raven Recording. So Gabrielle has passed, but her husband, Robert Ansel, graciously allowed me to use her music. I also use music from an album called Ecstatic Dance, and there's a link for you to find out more about that. I've used music from Christian Hoffman, whose music is incredibly lyrical. And finally, I use music from my dad. My dad is a jazz musician, and he allowed me to use his music. So I want to just thank everybody for that. And then my top embodiment tip. Okay, so this is going to sound really silly, but I really invite you to try it. It really does work. You know, when you shake your booty, you are actually also shaking your hips, obviously the sides, and you're getting the whole pelvic region. And that just gets freed up. Right now in your seat, just wiggle, wiggle your booty around. I'm telling you, a lot gets released. So the next time you're like really stressed, somebody, maybe it's a coworker, it's really getting on your nerves. Maybe you open up your mailbox and there's a bill in it that you're not sure how you're going to pay it. Whatever that stressor is, get somewhere secret, scurry someplace and just let that booty rip. Just shake it out. And you will see that you're gonna release so much. So much gets released in the booty. So that's my top embodiment tip.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. What a wonderful tip, and something that we all have access to. So we will cherish that tip. Thank you so much again, Kierra, for all that you've shared with us today. I sure had a good time, and it looked like everyone else was as well. And thank you everyone for joining us. I'm going to turn off the recording, and we're going to take a coffee break. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you everyone for joining in.